Hey everyone, I wanted to make a quick video. I was just thinking about this literally 2 minutes ago, and I was thinking there's some businesses that I get into where I'll make money fast, right? And I'm going to try my best to write the word fast here, right? And there's some businesses where it takes time to make that money, and I really call that slow money. And a lot of people immediately think I always want fast money, and that's not necessarily the case. I want to kind of talk about the differences between the two. This is a YouTube channel at the end of the day about generating passive income and making income. And really, there is a difference, right? And trust me, I'm happy with both, but I do understand that there's a place for each one. So let's kind of talk about these two. And I want to give some real life examples. I want to also talk about more business, money making type stuff and investment finance type stuff, just to give you guys kind of my certain point of views around making money and things like that. Fast money are some good examples are like this. Imagine there's like some sort of trend that I can capitalize on, right? I can make a t-shirt, I can make a landing page in a day. I pay $500 in ads and I make $1,500 back. Let's just say in revenue. At the end, after I deduct ad cost, hosting cost, design costs, testing different ads, shipping out the product, I might make, let's say, $300 off of $1,500, right? That's an example of what we call fast money. It's with a few clicks, and I don't want to exaggerate here. When I say a few clicks, I don't mean you click two buttons and you make money. It doesn't work like that. Usually when you pay for ads, you have this period of time depending on what ad platform you're using. It can take some time to adapt, especially like, for example, Facebook. Pinterest ads, completely different story, different business model, different thing, right? And I even have actually a course on running Pinterest ads because it's one of the most predictable ad sources to actually make money off of. But if we're talking about, like, let's say Facebook ads or Facebook ads is a good example, right? Which is a lot of the stuff that you see on YouTube. And there were times where I was extremely successful with Facebook ads. I'll give you guys a quick example. In a weekend, many years ago, I decided I'm bored. I'm going to make a bikini business. There were a lot of bikinis online. I was drop shipping them. And there were great pictures of models and things like that. And that week, I ran a Facebook ad. That weekend, excuse me. And the next week after that, the Facebook ad that I was running was a buy two, get one deal. So buy two bikinis, get one free. And it did amazingly well. It was kind of like a cycle of income creation. Any dollar that I put in, I made, $1.70 back in revenue. And that small cut I get to take. Some people look for a 2x, 3x, 4x return, whatever. The point is I'm making money back, right? That's an example of what I call fast money. But usually in those businesses, guys, the clock ticks. There's a certain period of time where it doesn't last forever, right? I can't really depend on it. It's just quick money. It comes and it goes. Now, in these moments, you have a lot of business people in these moments. Let's call them young hustlers. I don't want to call them business people because really a business person is somebody who's got lots of employees, running a company, it's got offices, infrastructures. So let's not call them business people. Let's just call them hustlers, right? These people think that this is their life and they can do this forever. And what they do is they keep going to tactic after tactic after tactic, business, little, things, and it makes them money. Eventually what happens is this is a exhaustive game. It works, but it's exhaustive. You always have to come up with the next thing, the next big thing. I'll give you an example. People who sell on ClickBank do this all the time. And I know some of them personally. Like, I'll give you an example of somebody's name that I know of personally. His name is Joshua Zamora. He makes a ton of money, but he's coming out with products all the time. Part of the reason why he has to come up with these products is they're really not that good. And I hate to disrespect him, but it's the truth. They're really not that good. And they don't really serve a complete purpose, meaning if you use that product, it's not going to handle all your issues. but it's marketed as if it's such. And that's one of the reasons why return rates are so high, right? And he has to go from product to product to product and always create these products. Now, it doesn't have to be a scam of a product. I'm not saying that it's a scam, but sometimes these fast money products could, like I said, capitalize on trends. So I'll give you an example. At one point in time, maybe like 4 years ago, there were, and I don't remember the exact year. So, with the dates and the exact stats, take everything what I say with a grain of salt. But there was this trend where there would be like these United States, like each individual state, and then it would say the word home in it. I'm pretty sure some guy off Shark Tank capitalized off that. And he built like a business around it. But anyways, that was a trend. And people were looking for like Ohio home, New York home type t-shirts, Texas home. And that was a trend. It might have lasted for a year or two, but that's an example of a trend that could be extremely profitable for a short period of time. It doesn't have to be a scam, it doesn't have to be a scheme of some sort, but it's basically an opportunity for you to make money for a very short period of time, right? I'll give you another quick example. When crypto was pumping all the way up, if you got in at the right time, you got out at the right time, that's a way, for example, that you can make money. That's a fast example. What are some slow examples? Let's just say I work at a job, for example. This is not the case, but let's just say I work at a job, and I somehow managed to save $250,000, right? Working at a job. When I work at this job, I could take this $250,000, I could put it in a high yield savings account, for example, that yields 5%. That could provide me, what is the number on that? Like $1,000 a month or something like that I can make. That's an example of what we call slow money. It's predictable. It's really not that much income in comparison to what I could create with fast money, but it's, like I said, more dependable. It will be around for a longer period of time. What's another example of what we call slow money? I think creating a blog is a perfect example. Now, people sometimes get confused when I say like a blog. Everybody thinks that blogs, well, I don't want to say everybody because I can't speak for everyone, but some people think that blogs are slow money, but it's not a lot of money. And that's not true. That's a fallacy. Slow money could be a lot of money. It just depends who's running it and how it's being ran, right? The same way fast money could be a little bit of money, and it doesn't necessarily have to be big money. But the point about this is that if I run a blog, right, in the beginning, it might not make me any money. The first year and a half, it might make me under $5,000 a month. But maybe by the third year, fifth year, sixth year, seventh year, 10th year, it could make me $10,000, $25,000, $35,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month. And I'm not being exaggerative when I say this. This is absolutely the case. So is it easy? No, nothing is easy here. We're not going to try to sell you get-rich-quick schemes. We're just speaking on the truth. A blog is something that can be slow money, right? Be a little bit more predictable for sure because things are relatively consistent, but you're actually building a long-term business, right? You're building a long-term business with a blog. You have a website, you have resources for your viewers, you have content, you have ads, you have, products that you're selling. That's a long-term play versus creating like a trendy t-shirt that would sell for a week or two. I think the whole point of this video is just to understand that there's these different categories. And if you look at money this way, you'll know how to treat every individual opportunity. I have something where I call it a present opportunity. In fact, I put Redbubble, TeePublic, all these kind of businesses in what I call a present opportunity. And when I say present, I actually mean the present as in the present tense. And really what I mean is it's a right here, right now kind of thing. Redbubble, for example, for me is present. TeePublic is a present moment in time. Part of the reason why I look at it is because look at what happened with me and Merch by Amazon. I was killing it, right? Within days, I was making, a bunch of money. I mean, you could go look. I literally made tier 500 in a matter of months, a few months, like 4 or 5 months, and I was doing really well. But obviously, for me, that was present money. It wasn't something I could depend on, and I couldn't really predict if it was short-term or long-term. Like Redbubble, right? For some of you guys might be making money off Redbubble right here, right now, but you can't predict the future. It might be here a week from now. It might not be here for a week from now. For you, right? Your account might get banned, whatever the case may be. These are also separate opportunities, different than slow money, different than fast money. I really wouldn't categorize it in slow and fast, but it's something that's here for now. We can't really depend on it in the future because we don't know of it. Its possibilities in the future. And really, there's a lot of business models like this. When the money is not controlled by you, that's what we call a present opportunity. I always said this in my past Redbubble videos, past TeePublic videos, really a lot of my print-on-demand videos in my past. I would say, guys, don't rely on one account. Create many accounts, diversify. If you have other businesses or other things, work on those too. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And some of you might have remembered I created polls and community posts, and I would talk about how it's important for me, right? I would take a 50% pay cut from a business, from print on demand, as long as I have them associated in multiple stores. So to put things into perspective, like if I made $10K a month off of Redbubble, right? I would much rather take $5K if it was in 5 different stores, right? Then take $10K in one store. Why? Because of the diversity aspect. If I lose a store or two, so I don't lose everything. But in the $10K situation, I'm losing everything if I lose that store. But now, obviously, people don't necessarily control how much exactly they're making. But my point here is why take all your work and put it into one business? You can't control the results, but you can definitely control the effort. And why take all your effort and put it into one avenue, one roadway per se, right? It's, we all do it at times, but it's not really the wisest thing for a long-term point of view. And to really diversify or try to be as safe as possible, you kind of can look at fast money and slow money on a spectrum. Or in this case, dependable and present money on a spectrum. Some things are more dependable than others. If I only create all my designs on one Redbubble store, that's a little bit on the risky side. So I would put it in the present category. But if I was looking to move some of that work on different stores, maybe even different websites instead of Redbubble, like if I have a TeePublic store, Redbubble store, maybe create my own website, now all of a sudden I'm now shifting a little bit from the present to the more long term. That's possible, right? Can things go wrong? For sure they can go wrong. Anything can go wrong, really, in any business. But the key is to have this kind of understanding between the two, and then you navigate where you want to end up. This is kind of, like I said, why I looked at these businesses that way for all these years, is that I know nothing is really going to last forever, truly. They might last for 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, but it's not going to be here forever. It's not going to be here for the next 50, 60, 100 years. Things change. And the question is are you willing to have that pivot every now and again? It happens. People who are willing to have those frequent pivots are probably on that fast money scale. They're always looking for that next hit, which there's nothing wrong with. Like I said, these are businesses or hustles, as you can call them. But people who aren't, they look for something a little bit more long-term. Let's talk about some things that could be a little bit more long-term and what they entail. Let's talk about real estate, for example. And I spoke about real estate before very, very briefly, and I actually plan to have more videos on real estate. But real estate is not actually a play for people who don't earn that much income. And let me explain. If you earn a lot of income, real estate is most likely, or let me rephrase what I'm saying. If you earn a lot of income, real estate is probably a play that you're at a 50% chance are going to use. Why? Because it's a tax haven, essentially. In the United States, in the UK, and Canada, I could speak really for the US, okay, because I know how the US system works. I'm in the US. But real estate is a way that you use to reduce your taxes. People don't want to spend, let's say you make $1 million a year. If you live in New York, you're going to pay over $550,000 in taxes. So instead of paying $550,000 in taxes, you can offset your taxes by taking that 550K and putting it in real estate. Now, you're not taking the full 550 and putting it in one building. It doesn't work that way. What you do is you get a loan on certain properties. And so, like, let's say you're going to put 25% down on one property. Well, let's say the property is worth $2 million. Well, then in that case, you're going to put, the 550K. But essentially, you'll be putting a percentage down of that property, mostly 25%. And ideally, you would want to have another 20% of that property value on liquid, on hand, because that property is going to require maintenance. It's going to require fixing, things like that. But you're going through all this hassle. Why? To save the 500 something K instead of burning it through tax, right? Now, if you're in a situation where you're making 50K, 60K a year, you might be able to buy some really, really cheap real estate if you're in, other states and things like that as a business. But it gets harder at that level because you're not making enough money. And once again, the whole purpose truly of real estate is for tax structures. It's not for earning income, because if you actually do the math on it, you're really not earning income on real estate other than years and years and years down the line, especially when you talk about making it through rentals. Take Airbnb out of the equation. Airbnb is a whole different situation. But when we're talking about long-term rentals, you're only going to get relatively wealthy. Once again, it's relative because it depends how much property you own. If you're going to just pay off the property and just keep making money off the rent. A lot of people don't understand the game of real estate, and a lot of people do, but it's not something that's spoken about because it kind of has an inner circle to it. The people who are making money off rent don't actually make that much money if you really look at it. You have to pay for the property upkeep, the maintenance. Sometimes you have to deal with annoying tenants. Screening exists, and you can decrease the issues that you have with tenants, but you have to property maintenance, property taxes. You have to deal with a lot of different expenses, a lot of different costs associated. So you're looking at that property, and sometimes you'll be lucky if you bring in 20 to 30% of profit. You're probably not going to. Most real estate, if they do generate a profit, you're looking at a 10%, if that, okay? But some people will sit here and say, well, the appreciation. Well, in the tax world, if your property appreciates and you sell that property, you have to pay capital gains tax. And sometimes that could be a lot depending on how long you hold the property. Now, once again, the real estate game, if you're going to play the game where you pay things off and then you wait for them to make you money, that's a very, very long-term play. We're talking 40, 50, 60 years, right? In terms of play before you become, financially well. Some people, what they do is they have very high earning periods and they're not sure about their future, right? Where they feel like, okay, I might not make money into the future, so let me buy this apartment building, pay it off, and at least now I have an insurance policy, so to speak, for my future. That's a whole different play as well. There's different plays in the real estate game, and once again, we can talk about these things. But, I went through it all in terms of experience and learning and things like that, so real estate is a whole different conversation. But in general, real estate is relatively slow and long. Right? That's the category that it fits in. If I was, let's say, a rapper, I'm going to use this example. If I was a rapper is fast money, okay? And it's short most of the time. You don't see many rappers have 50, 60, 40-year-long careers sitting there rapping. It just doesn't happen as much. You're not 55 years old doing rap songs. That just doesn't happen. So what do? They put their money in other things if they're smart. Like some rappers do, some rappers don't. Different thing. Let's use the NFL as an example. If you're in the NFL, there's a common joke. It stands for not for long. Now, obviously, it's not that National Football League, but not for long, meaning your career is not going to be there for long. You might make, let's just say, I don't know what the minimum is, like $2.3 million a year or something like that. I could be wrong. It could be like $800,000. I'm not sure. But let's just say $2.3 million. And let's say you're going to play for 2 seasons. Well, here you just made, let's just say, close to $5 million, but that $5 million is going to be taxed. Now, it depends on what state you're in, but this is relatively fast money. So let's say after taxes, all in, let's say you're in one of those lower tax states, let's say Minnesota, playing for the Minnesota Vikings. You're going to, let's say, make, let's say $3 million, right, out of the 5. And I'm just making numbers up here at this point. I'm not going to give you exacts, but you get the point. Maybe a little more than 3, to be honest, but let's say $3 million. In this case, this is fast money, but here, this $3 million is not going to really last you forever, especially if you've adapted your lifestyle to that $3 million kind of lifestyle. So now the question now becomes, how do you take this $3 million? How do you grow it? Well, like I said, there's different ways you could do it. You could put it in a high yield savings account. You could take a small amount of money and start a farm. You could do different things to make money, right? There's different approaches, but this in its case is fast money. It doesn't last for a long period of time. You got to move on to the next thing. I like talking about these financial decision-making plays. It's just something I'm passionate about. And let me know what you guys think. But in general, this is kind of the depiction or the idea, the difference between fast money and slow money. They're both not bad. They're both, I would say, good. But it takes a good money manager to understand and really see the future of where they're going. There's a rapper or a singer or artist, whatever you want to call him, named Russ. And this guy is a very money-conscious guy, where he's that example of where I said he knows he's probably not going to make money forever, even though he's massively successful. Let me take that back. He actually has the potential to make money forever in the music world because he's an independent artist, but the typical career of an artist doesn't last forever. So he makes a ton of money, and then he puts it into real estate, right? And some of that real estate is a McDonald's franchise, but some of it is apartment buildings in Arizona. So it's different, for every person. And, there's different things that you could do. I've given advice before on, tax returns and creating LLCs and 1040s and how to actually reduce your taxes, of course, not tax evade, but reduce legally and take certain deductions and things like that. And if you're interested in some of those videos, check around on the channel. I'm going to make more of these type of financial videos that will help you guys out. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out. Bye.